Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss on different versions of Java and their released years and what all updates have they introduced in their particular releases. So I'll give you a brief introduction of different versions of Java and how to remember them while explaining them in the interview, because all the point is to explain well in the interview of what you know and what you have learned. So I'll give an overall idea and the basic tips and some easy tricks to remember different versions of Java and their updates in the particular release. So here I have prepared a document in OneNote which is quite beautiful. Um, so let's get started. So the first Java release was JDK Beta, which was released in 1994. So most of you will be watching in this video might be around the date of birth of 1990s to 1995. So make a point that Java started in 1994. Make it as a milestone of the Java's first release, and they call it as the first alpha and beta Java. Okay, they call it as a alpha beta of the Java public releases in 1995, and they are highly unstable because that was the very first step of the Java. The supplied Java version browsers, which was named as WebRunner. So initially there were no browsers like we have now. For example, the Mozilla Firefox, the Google Chrome, and the Internet Explorer. Like the Java people have introduced the first basic web browser, which is called the WebRunner. So remember that the first release of Java was Alpha and Beta Java, which was released in 1994, and it has basic unstable APIs, highly unstable APIs or basic whatever. And then they also introduced this WebRunner browser. Okay, and the next release is after 2 years. Most of the Java releases will be like a gap of 2 years. Try to remember that. So here the JDK 1.1 came into the picture. So this first version was released on Jan 23rd, 1996. So after 1994, there is a 2 years of gap, and then they released the 1996 JDK1. They have not registered the name as Java, so they registered it as Oak. So Oak, which is a first stable version. Before it was unstable. Now they made stable, and the first version, stable version, was JDK1, and is also called as Java1. And then after a year, there was a release 1.1, JDK 1.1 in 1997. Just a year. They took just an year gap and they just released this new version of JDK 1.1. And in this 1.1, they have an extensive retooling of the AWT event model, and inner classes added to the language, and the Java beans were introduced, JDBC connectivity to connect with the database, and also remote method invocation. They have also brought up the reflection, which supports introspection only. No modification at the runtime was possible at the time. JIT was also, this compiler came into the picture on Microsoft Windows platforms only, produced for JavaSoft by Symantec. Internalization and Unicode support orientation from TeleJet. You don't really need all these kind of minute and rare information to be explained in the interview, but you can say that Java first version 1.1, which is the stable API, was released in 1997, which contains the Java inner classes and the Java beans and JDBC connectivity, RMI, and reflections, and the most important feature, JIT compiler, has come into picture. So these are crucial pillars of Java on which the Java resides. So make it as an imaginary store in your mind, like in 1994 they have come up with a very unstable API, and which is they call it as alpha beta because that was the very first version of Java they were introduced. And then after a year gap in 1997, they come up with an next version which is called as Oak. Oak, like in the 1996, after 2 years, and then after Oak has come into the picture, which is also an first stable version, and then in the next immediate version they came up with an JDK 1.1, and this is a AWT model, and inner class was added, and Java beans came into the picture, as well as to communicate with the database. They come up with JDBC connectivity and remote method invocations and JIT compilers and all. So not too much to deal with, talk about this basic versions, and then let's jump into Java 1.2. In the 1.2, which was released in 1998. Okay, so this 1.2, it was very significant release of Java, as it tripled the size of the Java platform to 1520 classes in 59 packages. Major additions include strict FP keyword. The Swing Graphics API was integrated into the core classes. Sun JVM was equipped with JIT compiler for the first time. Java plugin and Java ideal and ideal implementation for the core bar interoperability, and collections were also introduced, collections framework, which is a very big massive topic in the Java. So Java 1.2, you have to remember it as a 1.2, and even number 2 is an even number, so Java is released in 1998. Isn't it easy? So in that 1998 release, they have doubled or tripled the size of the Java platform to 1520 classes, and like, remember, 60 or 59 packages, and which majorly includes the StreetFP keyword. The Swing graphical API was integrated into the core classes, and Sun JVM as equipped with the JIT compiler for the first time, and collections framework was introduced. You don't really need to talk about the core bar interoperability or Java plugin, because no one cares about that. And after that, 1.2, 1998, they took a 2 years gap again and introduced a new version, that is Java SE 1.3, which was released in 2000, sorry. So when I follow this blue green line, this guide me to the 1.3. So in 1.3, in 2000, the hotspot JVM introduced. The hotspot JVM was first released in April 1999 for the Java SC 1.2 JVM. RMI was modified to support optional compatibility with core bar. Okay, Java naming directory JNDI introduced in core libraries, previous available as an extension, but they made it as a core library. And Java platform debugger architecture was also introduced, Java sound, and synthetic proxy classes. So in Java 1.3, 1.3 is an odd number, so remember it like it is released in 2000. And in 2000, RMI was modified to support compatibility with the core bar. If you don't want to talk about the core bar, then just remember as hotspot JVM introduced, and immediately jump into the next point, like JNDI is included in the core libraries. Before, they were like, when you install the Java JDK, you also get the JNDI, because they were included in the core libraries, right? That's what it means, the including in the core libraries. And then Java sound is introduced, and Java platform debugger architecture, JPDA, which is really important to debug an application or a program, right? So they put on this JPDA, and synthetic proxy classes were also introduced. After this 1.3 release in 2000, they took again 2 years gap and introduced 1.4. So here 1.4 is also even number, and which is a little bit higher version, and so remember, you can easily remember it as released in 2002. So let's discuss on this 1.4. In the 1.4, the asset keyword was added, and regular expression modeled after Perl regular expressions. Exception catching allows an exception to encapsulate original lower level exceptions too. Internet Protocol version 6 is also supported by this 1.4, and non-blocking IO and logging API were also introduced. A part of that, image input output API for reading and writing images like in formats JPEG and PNG, and integrated XML parser and XSLT, integrated security and cryptography extensions. Preferences like API Java util preferences were also added. So on this, if you want to answer this in interview, like Java 1.4 is introduced in 2002, and updates like introducing the asset keyword 1.4 asset keyword, which is an asset to Java, so remember in that way. And regular expressions modeled after Perl regular expressions. If it's up to you, if you want to remember this Perl thing in 1.4, or if you want to skip that point, no one really cares about that. And then this is important that it supports IPv6, because it is the fourth 1.4 even version, is released in 2002, which is also even number. 1.6 IPv Internet Protocol version 6 is also an even number. So remember, like in the sequence, to 1.4 Java 1.4, which was released in 2002 and supports IPv6, right? And non-blocking IO logging API, which was also introduced into 1.3, but they have put this as an API here. And also very important thing, that is XML parser and XSLT weren't added. These are the core things, very important things to be in the Java, which are the pillars of Java. And also you can also put in this point preferences API too. So these are the basic things to be discussed in 1.4, not too much. And then 1.5, so 1.5 was introduced in 2005. Not really a big task to remember 1.5 in 2005. And this, when we talk about the updates in 1.5, they have 22 updates subversions. So when you see in this kind of versions here, before they were 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, but here they have removed the subversion and put it as directly 5, Java 5. This was a big change in the naming conventions of the release for Java 5. They had 22 updates, like Java 5.1, 5.2, 5.3 to like 22 updates, which was a very big major release in Java. So Java 5 has come up with generics. This is a very beautiful important topic to have in Java. Generics provide compile time static type safety for collections and eliminate the need for most typecasting things. And metadata, also called annotations, Java annotations, came into the picture. Java 5 allows language constructs such as class and methods to be tagged with the additional data. You know what annotations means, right? When you override something, you'll get an annotation automatically, like at the rate of override. So this kind of annotations were introduced in Java 5. And also auto boxing and unboxing, and automatic conversions between the primitive types such as int and primitive wrapper classes such as integer, which I spoke before, like in generics. Generics has a very big features, but I was discussing about the auto boxing too. So this is auto boxing and enumerations. Then enum keyword creates a type safe ordered list of values such as day, like Monday, date, or Tuesday, etc. And previously this could only be achieved by non-type safe constant integers or manually constructed classes. A type safe enum pattern was also put into the enumeration, and where args means the last parameter of the method can only be declared using the type name followed by 3 dots. So I've given example void draws text. That support is in a method with the string parameter as string 1 dot 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 lines 3 dots. So in this, in in the calling code, any number of parameters of the type can be used, and they are then placed in an array to be passed to the methods. Or alternatively, the calling code can pass an array of the type. So you might have got a brief idea what where args means. and enhanced for loop. The for loop syntax is extended with special syntax for iterating over each method for either an array or an iterable such as standard collection classes. And important semantics of execution for multi-thread Java programs. The new Java memory model addresses issues of complexity, effectiveness, and performance of a previous specifications. Static inputs were also introduced. There were also the following implementations to the standard libraries like automatic stub generations for the RMI objects, and swing a new skinnable look and feel like a call sent. The concurrency utilities in packages, Java util concurrent, and scanner classes for the parsing data from various input streams and buffers. Support the Microsoft Windows 98 and Windows ME, while Windows Vista is the newest version of Windows that J2SE5 has supported on prior to Java 5 going end of life. Java 5 was first available in Apple Mac OS X 10.4 trigger and was the default version of Java installed on Apple Mac OS X 10.5 Leopard. You don't really need to worry about this while discussing about the Java 1.5 features, but I would just want to be as much as informative as I can. And so, as I spoke before, the version changing from here, all the versions where the major versions and other sub versions like Java 1.6 JDK is called a Java 6, Java 1.7 JDK is called a Java 7, and so on. This was started from Java 5. Okay, so when we talk about in general about Java 5 in interviews, you can say that Java 5 was introduced in 2005, and it is a very major release of Java because it contains the generics and also the auto boxing feature. The enumerations were added and where arcs were added, and also enhanced for loop, and also they have introduced static imports. There's a pretty few points which will be like an arrow to the interviewer's question, so they will be really impressed by listening to this kind of answers. And a part of this, you can explain them about the improvements to the standard libraries too, like automatic struts generation, and also the swing has come into the picture, and concurrency utilities in the packages called Java util.concurrent, and also scanner class, which is a beautiful thing to have in the Java, right? You can take the parameters through console. Scanner class is also introduced. So this is the very cute things and important things to remember about 1.5, that is Java 5. And then when we discuss about Java SE6, and this is also very easy to remember, that is Java 6 was introduced in 2006, right? So let me go to Java 6, and Java 6 has 141 updates, which is quite a lot of updates than before Java versions, right? So the Java 6, which was called as a Mustang, I don't know if you are a fan of a Mustang, but Java 6 code name is Mustang. You can easily remember that after the release of Java 5, Java 6, and it is a Mustang, like came very fast in a year. So in a year after the one Java 5. So in this Mustang, we have very few updates like scripting language support, generics API 5, tight integration with the scripting languages, and built-in Mozilla JavaScript Rhino integration, dramatic performance improvements for the core platform, and Swing, improved web service support through JAX-WS, and also JDBC 4.0 support, Java compiler API, an API allowing the Java program to select and invoke a Java compiler programmatically, and also an update of JAX-B to version 2, include integration of STX parser, support for pluggable annotations, many GUI improvements such as integration of worker in API, table sorting and filtering, and true swing double buffering, elimination of the gray area effect. JVM improvements include synchronization and compiler performance, optimization, new algorithm, and upgrades to existing garbage collection algorithm. And application startup performance was also improved. So when we talk about Java 1.6, JDK 1.6, or the Java 6 in interview, you can easily tell them like Java 1.6, JDK 1.6 is also called a Java 6 and named as Mustang. And this has not too many updates in this release, but we have few updates which is like supporting the JDBC 4, improve the web services support through JAX WS, and also a compiler API is introduced. What do you mean by the compiler API? You might have seen some major websites. I don't really remember the name, but they provide the testing of Java code online in the browser itself. When you write a Java code and press on a button compile, then it compiles on the browser itself. So this API was introduced in Java 6. They have come up with the API, compiler API, and a part of that JVM improvements were also added, like synchronization, compiler performance optimization. The garbage collection algorithm was also upgraded, and the startup performance was increased in Mustang because it's a Mustang speed, and like the startup performance was increased. So you can remember like this while explaining in the interview about the Java 6. And after that, Java 7, when we discuss on Java 7, 7 is a odd number, and so yeah, it is released in 2011. So you can remember in this way that 7 prime number was released in 2011, 711. So 711, you can remember like Java SC 7 was introduced in 2011, and this also has a technical name called as Dolphin, I guess. So when we discuss about, yeah, I was right. Java 7 had a code name called Dolphin, and this also has a very large number of updates, like 131 updates. And this Dolphin supports for dynamic languages with the new invoke dynamic bytecode, following the prototyping work currently done on multi-language virtual machines and composer 64-bit pointer. The small language changes grouped under a project name called coin. This coin is very important thing to remember in Java 7. So this coin contains, coin is nothing but a package. They have grouped all the major updates as a coin release. Okay, project name coin. In the coin they have strings in switch, automatic resource management in try statement, improved type interface for generic instant creation, aka the diamond operator, simplified varchar method declaration, binary integer literals 0101, like binary numbers, allowing underscores in numerical field, catching multiple exception types and rethrowing exceptions with improved type checking. A part of coin, they were also having many updates like new file IO library, adding support for multiple file systems, file metadata, and symbolic links. Time sort is used to sort collections and arrays of objects instead of merge sort. So they have introduced the time sort, which was not there before. We were using just merge sort, so they have come up with the time trim sort. The library level support for Eclipse curve cryptography algorithms were introduced. An X-render pipeline for Java 2D, which improves handling of features specific to modern GPUs, and enhanced library level support for new network protocols, include SCTP and socket direct protocol, upstream updates to XML and Unicode, Java development rule sets, Lambda Java implementation of Lambda functions. These are too much information to remember, but I want to be as informative as I can, so I've introduced in detail all the points. So when we discuss about 1.7 in interview, you can tell them like Java 7 was introduced in 2011, and which has a code name called Dolphin, and this supports the dynamic languages, and this has a good project called Coin. This coin contains the string in switch, automatic resource management in try statement, that is try with resource, which is called as try with resource, was also introduced. I mean, the try catch statements, you will write the exception handling. So the try with resource means you don't really need to write the close connections or the database close statements in the finally block. You can manage that with the try with resource. And then improved type interface for generic instant creation, like the diamond operator, you don't really need to discuss about that because it is an something mostly used in Python, I guess. And simplified varchar, which was introduced in the previous release, and the binary integer literals, because before the in integer they were just decimal, octa and hexadecimal allowed, but now they have introduced the binary integer literals too, like zeros and ones. Integer can be defined as a binary integer literals also, and also allowing underscore in the numeric literals, right? And again, exception handling, catching multiple exception types and rethrowing exceptions with improved type checking, right? So there are 2 points related to exception handling, that is try with resource and also multiple catch statements and improved type checking. And also a part of the exception handling, we have introduced the underscore in the integer literals and also added the binary literals, right? A part of decimal, hexadecimal and octadecimal, right? So these are all the points you can shoot when an interviewers ask you about 1.7, 711 and Dolphin. And after that, let's discuss about Java 8. 8 is an even number, and again 2014. 2014 Java 8, as let's see what it has. So Java 8 doesn't have any code name like 6 and 7 has. So Java 8 worked on features was organized in terms of JDK enhancement proposals. Support for lambda expressions, officially lambda expressions, and project Nashon, a JavaScript runtime which allows developers to embed JavaScript code within the applications. Annotations on Java types, unsigned integer arithmetics, repeating annotations, date and time API, statically linked JNDI libraries, launch JavaFX applications, remove the permanent generation. Java 8 was not supported in Windows XP, but as of JDK 8 update 25, it can still be installed and run under Windows XP. So these are very few features to be remembered for Java 8, which was released in 2014. And to summarize this Java 8, it is a loop, right? So why don't you remember Java 8 as a lambda expression, like a loop, and which is something like infinity, and the infinity symbol will be just an inversion of 8, and symbols like infinity are one of the symbol is lambda, right? Which we use in max. So try to remember in that way Java 8 as an the lambda expression, and after coming from the lambda expression, try to tell them the annotation on Java types was also introduced, and unsigned integer arithmetic was also introduced, repeating annotations, date and time API was also introduced, and statically linking JNI libraries, launch of Java FX applications, directly launching of Java FX applications, jars, application jars, and removing the permanent generation. It's not that big deal to remember the features of Java 8. And after that, we have a Java 9, right? Released in, I don't have the information of Java 9 code name, but I know I'll provide the information as much as I can. That is, Java 9 was introduced in 2017 July. Support of multi-gigabyte heaps, better native code integration, and a self-tuning JVM was also introduced. Modularization of JDK under Project Jigsaw Java platform module system jigsaw. The Java shell and ahead of time compilation XML catalog work is underway to make the Java implementation of React Streams part of Java 9. More concurrency updates in Java 9. They are just like 5 updates, so you can tell that Java 9 was introduced in 2017. It has the modularization of JDK under the project Jigsaw, and they have introduced the JShell and ahead of time compilation, that is while coding yourself the Java compiles and let you know the syntactical errors, and XML catalogs were also being introduced, and a part of that more concurrency updates were also introduced in Java 9. And then in Java 10, this is the final version of Java as so far we got updated to. So in this Java 10, there is a speculation of introducing objects without identity value types, as well as moving forward 64-bit addressable arrays to support large data sets. Money and currency API was introduced. So in short, you can remember Java 10, which is the last version, and mostly this comes toward the scripting type of language. Java is completely changed, and it is like supporting most of the scripting type of coding style, and which has come up with an money and currency APIs. So I think this is pretty much to discuss about the Java versions and their releases. Hope you all enjoyed, and I was trying to make you remember as much as you can during interviews to explain all these versions. And thank you all for watching this video. Jyotikiran signing off. Bye.